What is up guys, it's Modded Warfare here and welcome back to another episode of PC Tutorial. So in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you guys how to prevent being infected by rats, remote administration tools or remote administration Trojans. I've already made a video on this before, but I feel like an updated video is necessary now because I used some new tools and software that is a lot better than the previous video that I did. So yeah, we're going to be going over this again, but I'm not going to be showing you guys how to remove a rat this time. I'm going to be showing you guys firstly how to prevent being infected and what kind of tools I use to help prevent me from being infected by rats, and also how to sort of analyze a rat and find out what rat software the infected file is using, as well as finding out stuff like their DNS servers and what their server is, server IP, all that kind of stuff. So that's what we're going to be going over in this video. And the reason for that, if you don't know what a rat is, it's basically, I mean, it's got two names, remote administration tool or remote administration Trojan. What it basically is it's a form of virus where if you get infected by it, it allows people allows the people who infected you to remote control your computer, dump all your passwords, break your computer if they want, all kinds of awful stuff that they can do with it. So yeah, it's something you definitely want to avoid being infected by, and it's something that in the modding community a lot of people are getting infected by these because there's a lot of people trying to spread rats over Skype, and mod tools like real-time editing mod tools for the Xbox 360, a lot of people are injecting rats into those and trying to spread them that way, especially on hack forums as well. I've noticed there's a few people posting real-time editing mod tools on hack forums that actually have rats binded to them. And not that I'm blaming hack forums for that, because if hack forums admins discover somebody try to spread a virus on their site, they will delete their account, they'll remove the post. They're very good like that, but you can't police the whole internet, so it does still happen. So anyway, first thing we're going to do is look at preventing being infected by rats and the kind of software I use. Now the first thing I always recommend is that you have some kind of antivirus, because when somebody spreads a rat or creates a rat, it's going to be detectable to every antivirus. So anyone who makes a rat, it will be, when they first create it, it will be detected by any antivirus software. So the reason, that's why you want an antivirus, because what a lot of people do is they encrypt the rats. So they encrypt the infected file, and what that does is it makes it undetectable to a lot of antiviruses, or in some cases all antiviruses. So you're not completely protected if you have an antivirus, but at least if you do have an antivirus, you can rule out being infected by people who are spreading unencrypted rats. So if you have an unencrypted rat, then if somebody tries to spread an unencrypted rat to you, any antivirus is going to pick that up as a threat and delete it immediately. So definitely worth having even a free antivirus like Avast or AVG over none at all. However, when it comes to a specific antivirus I recommend is going to be Eset Antivirus. Now this is an antivirus I highly recommend for helping to prevent being infected by rats. Obviously, good encryption on the infected files will make the infected file undetectable to Eset Antivirus, but still it's a very good antivirus to use. Especially I remember a few years ago when people were trying to sell cryptors on hack forums marketplace, there was a lot of cryptors that said do not scan with Eset Antivirus, because Eset has a very good detection ratio, and a lot of the times Eset would detect a cryptor, it would detect it as a virus, and then it would update its virus database, and then all the other antiviruses would follow suit, and that cryptor would basically be useless. So there was a lot of people saying don't scan with Eset, so you know it's a pretty good antivirus because of that. And also, even now, there are still cryptors that come out that have to have like this separate video on how to bypass Eset with their cryptor. So they can still bypass it, but based on that information, Eset's a pretty strong antivirus to use. So it's also got stuff like botnet protection and even host intrusion prevention as well. So it's definitely something that I would recommend using. You can get a free 30-day trial of it just to try it out. And also, if you want to get it, if you want to actually buy Eset, then it's a pretty expensive antivirus software, but there is a way to get it really, really cheap, which I'll show you right now. So normally if you were going to buy this, let's see, so we go home, So there's two different types as well, I forgot to mention. There's Smart Security and Eset Antivirus. Now, Smart Security is better, it has more protection, it's got more features. So if you're going to get one of the two, I'd recommend Smart Security. But Eset Antivirus is great as well. Yeah, so you can see it's about 40 UK pounds, which is pretty damn expensive. But like I say, there is a cheap way to get it. If you want to get it, you can head on to g2a.com. So yeah, if you go to g2a.com and you search Eset in the search bar, you'll see you can get a Smart Security key for £4, or whatever your regional equivalent is. But it's pretty damn cheap if you buy a key from G2A and then just download the trial. Download the trial of Eset and then buy a key for £4 or whatever, and you get a year of Smart Security, which is pretty damn good. So yeah. So that's basically what I would recommend for antivirus. Obviously, many people have their preferences. Some people will say Norton is better. Some people will say Kaspersky's better, or Bitdefender, or whatever. But that's just my recommendation. You can totally ignore it if you want and go for a different antivirus. But in my opinion, Eset is a very good one to go for, especially when it comes to protecting yourself from rats. So the other piece of software that I recommend getting is Glasswire. And what Glasswire is, it's basically like a firewall application that runs alongside your own firewall, but it doesn't necessarily block traffic. It's just used to monitor traffic. So it monitors everything that goes on your system. So whenever a certain application updates or a new application establishes a connection to a server, it will let you know. It will give you a notification, because this is really, really useful when it comes to rat. So a lot of rat software, when you run the infected file, sometimes obviously there's advanced ones where they bind it to an actual legitimate looking tool. So when you open it, you get ratted, but it opens a normal, user interface and it looks like a normal program. But a lot of people who spread rats, who are really lazy about it, will just give you the infected file where you double click it and nothing happens. It doesn't load anything. It doesn't say the application has stopped working or anything. You double click it and nothing seems to happen, which is a sure sign that you've been infected by a rat. Or you'll double click it and the actual application will disappear. And then you don't know what the hell's going on. Well, if you have Glasswire installed, Glasswire will tell you. It will give you a notification in the bottom right corner that says, this application has established a connection to this server, or, something like that. For example, if I run Fiddler, which is a web debugger, what this program does is it changes your proxy settings. It's used for packet injecting and stuff. So if I run this application, Glasswire should notify me that my proxy settings have been changed. So the program opens, and right there, first network activity from Fiddler, proxy settings have been changed. And if I click there, I can tell that the proxy settings have been changed right here. And then I can also go to usage and find out what program is running right here. So it gives you quite a good bit of information. You can even right click on the program and do a little virus scan to make sure that it's clean. So a pretty damn good application. It's not an antivirus, like I say, it just monitors what's going on your network. Just the kind of background information that normally you wouldn't know about, that it just gives you a little notification. This has happened, this has happened. If I close the program, my proxy settings will go back to normal. And again, it will notify me that my proxy settings have been changed. If my DNS server settings have been changed by a program, it will tell me that as well. So it's very useful. So if you ever run an infected rat that normally just doesn't do anything, Glasswire will say, hey, this program's established a connection, there's network activity from this application, and that will give you, at least an alert that something's going on. So it's definitely a useful application to have, and it doesn't really slow down your system because it's not like a firewall application that's blocking traffic, it's just monitoring the traffic that comes through. So those are the kind of two main softwares that I can recommend, having a good antivirus like Eset and also having Glasswire to give you a notification if anything's going on your network. So other than that, guys, you can see I've downloaded a tool here that I'm pretty sure has a rat in it. So if we go to this post, we can see this is where I got this supposed real-time editing mod tool, IP pooler, blah, blah, blah. And you can see it's trying to, it looks like a awful application, to be honest. Who the hell designed this? But anyway, it's kind of obvious that it's a virus, because one thing you can use to tell is just look at the person's reputation. And if you click on the person's username, to details, you can see right here, fuck off with your infected files. Released an infected version of killer software. So you can clearly tell that this guy is spreading malware. So we're kind of confident that this is going to be a rat. So I downloaded it right here. As you can see, I've got it right here, and I'm also going to disable my antivirus for 30 minutes because like I say, Eset is very good at detecting, even if this is encrypted, Eset's very good at detecting it. And he also released a virustotal scan. And if you look at the virustotal scan, you can see that Eset picks it up, even though all these other antiviruses don't. So that's one, again, another good reason to have Eset. So what I'm going to do, though, just for this example, is disable this for like 30 minutes or something, so that I can extract this to the desktop. So what we're going to do right here, so one other thing I recommend to help protect you is always to run programs that you don't trust through virustotal. So this person has given us a virustotal scan to try and say, hey look, my application is clean. Even though there's 6 antiviruses that detect it as a virus, this person would just probably say, if I like messaged him right here and said, hey, why does it detect 6? Why do 6 antiviruses detect it as a virus? He'll try and say it's because it's obfuscated, and that means a lot of people who release real-time editing mod tools obfuscate their code. So that basically jumbles up all the code and makes it unreadable to people trying to crack the application. So it's quite legit for a lot of people to obfuscate their code, and when you obfuscate a program, often what will happen is certain antiviruses will detect it as a virus, even though it's not actually a virus. So that's what he would probably try and say. But the main thing to take away from this is that he hasn't actually scanned the exe. He's just scanned the .rar file. That is all. That is something you really need to pay attention to, because I'm sure if we scanned the actual .exe, a lot more antiviruses would detect it, because it's in a .rar file, it's compressed, and a lot of antiviruses won't detect it as a virus. So if you ever get a virus scan like this from a tool on a forum site, and they've just provided the .rar file and not the .exe, upload the .exe. If I just head to virustotal and we open this tool, and I don't know why the name of the tool is like this, but whatever. So let's go ahead and put the actual .exe file in and scan it. And we'll reanalyze. Okay guys, so the scan has finished, and as you can plainly tell, definitely more detections than the .rar file. And for all we know, this .rar file may not actually be the same as this one. The person who put this up here could have put something totally different inside that rar file. So one thing, if you are going to scan the rar file as well, then you could check the SHA-265 and see if this is the same, because if this is different, then this is not the same rar archive that we've downloaded. So yeah, if there was just 6 detections on the exe, I might be able to let that pass and say, yeah, well, it's probably because it's obfuscated. Obviously I would check to make sure it's obfuscated, but you just look at the actual exe, and yeah, I don't care if it's obfuscated, you're not going to get that many detections unless it's insanely obfuscated. So yeah, that's clearly a sure sign that's definitely malware. So that's something you should definitely watch out for. If somebody uploads a virus scan that just has the .rar file, then check with the actual exe in virustotal. And also, if they do give you the .exe, then scan it yourself and make sure the SHA-265 is the same. So that's basically another thing you want to do. Always use virustotal, and don't trust the scans that the people actually post on the forum. Make sure you do your own virustotal scan, because as you can see, the results can be quite a bit different. So yeah, that is another thing I would recommend. Okay, so finally guys, last thing we're going to do here is we're going to look at actually run this rat and potentially try and figure out what rat software it's using, try and maybe find out its DNS servers, a bit of information on it. Why would you want to do this? Well, especially if somebody's posted it on a forum like this, you can see one person's replied that says, "Thanks man, this works really well." It's probably the same person on another account. But if you wanted to, say, expose somebody for spreading a rat, then this is a good way to do it. You can, I'll show you what to do here. If you can find out what rat software they're using and also what their DNS servers are, you could post it in a reply to their forum and basically expose them for spreading rats. So it's quite a useful thing to do. But if you're going to do this, for God's sake, use a virtual machine. I'm on a virtual machine right now, as you can see, not my real machine. So use a virtual machine if you are going to do this. And also install Sandboxie, which is another thing I recommend for prevention. So yeah, I recommend Sandboxie because what Sandboxie basically does is it runs the application through in a protected environment where it can't cause any damage to your system. Now, yes, there are rat software that can get through Sandboxie. They have something called anti-sandbox that allows them to still infect your computer even if you run it through Sandbox. But if you're using Sandboxie and a virtual machine, it's very unlikely that it's going to be able to do anything to your real system. And another thing I recommend doing if you are going to run it for just for the purpose of analyzing this, then I would recommend also disabling your internet connection on your virtual machine. Although some rats will not run properly if you don't have an internet connection, because it won't be able to establish a connection to the control panel of the rat, so therefore it will not necessarily run. Okay, to do this we're going to be using a program called Process Hacker 2, which is kind of like the process section in Task Manager, only completely insane. It's got loads and loads of additional options that you can kind of use to inspect the different processes that are running on the computer. And we're also going to run the tool through Sandboxie as well. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to right click and we're going to run it sandboxed so it doesn't damage our system. And we're going to click OK. Okay, and you can see it's opened this svhost.exe. Now, normally if I was to look at this in Task Manager, I mean, I'm pretty sure this is quite an easy or quite an obvious rat, because if we look inside processes on just Task Manager, I mean, svhost, it's not even svc host. Normally it would be called, see, a lot of rats use the process name svc host because there's a lot of legitimate svc host processes running on your computer by default, and they're totally legit. But this one's obviously, you know, it kind of stands out because the legit ones are called svchost.exe, and it says in the description that they're a host process for Windows services, whereas this one is just svhost, and it says Microsoft.NET Assembly Registration Utility, which is not the same thing. So it doesn't disguise itself too well if we can even just detect it easily in Task Manager. But let's go ahead and open Process Hacker now and have a look in here. So now we could just look for the process. I mean, it's svhost, which we can probably find quite easily in here. Yeah, there it is down here, svhost. But if you're having trouble finding it in Process Hacker because it's using the same name as another process, then the easy way is to just go down here, the little arrow where Sandboxie control is, double click on that, and in here it will show all the processes running in Sandboxie, and you can see that svhost is right here, and the PID, which is the process ID, is 4100. So if you just look for the process ID in Process Hacker and look for 4100, then you'll find the exact process that you're looking for. So it's quite easy to do that. And then what we do is we right click and we go to Properties, and then in Properties you want to select the Memory tab and then click on Strings and then click OK. Now what that's going to do is it's going to basically load all the strings that are in this source code of the application. So as you can see, there's quite a lot of strings, and what you want to look for is any sort of common rat software that exists that may be binded to this program. So say something like Dark Comet. One way you can tell, or one good way that I use personally to find out about what kind of rat software it could be using, is to just head on to Hack Forums and head into the market, and then from the market head to the Premium Sellers section, and then in the Premium Sellers section select Cryptography and Encryption Market, and then from here just select one of the cryptors, like this top one right here. And then what you want to do is just scroll down to see what rat software this crypter supports. So you can see it supports Luminosity, Cybergate, NJRat, Predator Pane Logger, Imminent Monitor, Nanocore, Ozone, Elite Keylogger, Dark Comet, Babylon, Keybase Logger. So you can see these are the kind of like common rat softwares that cryptors support. So we just look for some of these. This program here may actually be using one of these rat softwares. So okay, so now what we can do is we can search through the strings and look for any of these common rat softwares. I'll start with Dark Comet just because that's one that I used in my example in my previous video with rats. I showed how to remove Dark Comet from my virtual machine. I infected my virtual machine with it. I showed you guys how to remove it. So let's see if this program's using Dark Comet. Nothing there. It's probably case sensitive, so I'll try Dark Comet lowercase. Nothing. Let's try, okay, so it doesn't contain Dark Comet. We'll just go left to right. So we've got Luminosity next. So let's try Luminosity. Nothing. Try again with uppercase. Luminosity. Oh wow, there we go. So we can see that it's using Luminosity. So there we go. We could expose that guy on Hack Forums now if I could just reply to his post and prove that he's using, that his software is a rat because it's running Luminosity, which is a common piece of rat software that is on this crypter. So looks like we've definitely found out that he's using Luminosity now. So we've got Luminosity, Luminosity link is running, Luminosity's crypto miner. I'm not sure if that's anything to do with Bitcoin mining. It might be something different. I know that some rat softwares infect your computer just to Bitcoin mine. So they'll infect your computer and just use your computer to mine Bitcoin for them. So it could be something to do with that. It could be something completely different. Cannot continue because Luminosity is injected into a third-party process. Proactive anti-malware could not be enabled because this client does not use Luminosity startup. So yeah, so we can prove that he's using Luminosity on his. That's the rat software he's using. We could look that up on Google, find out what kind of features Luminosity has, what kind of things he could do to your computer with this software. So we've got surveillance, security, and administration. And you might be wondering why this website looks so legit. It looks like a legit piece of software. Well, it probably is a legit piece of software. A lot of companies will use rats in legitimate business purposes, like just for administration over a business network or something like that. So yeah, there are totally legit reasons for rats, but people can also use them for illegitimate reasons, like infecting innocent people's computers, as this person is doing with this software. So let's have a look at features. We've got surveillance that allows you to remote control your clients via remote desktop. We've also got an RDP manager, so they can log into your system through RDP, which is kind of dodgy. And password recovery, recover lost passwords. So it looks like they can steal the passwords from your computer as well. So yeah, pretty dodgy that they can do that with that application. So now we know that it's definitely using Luminosity and the kind of stuff that they can do with this software. So yeah, that's one way that you can use to just kind of find out about the rat software that an application is using. One way you can definitely prove beyond any shadow of a doubt that the software is definitely malware or is definitely a rat specifically. You can also, of course, search for other things like maybe their DNS server to find out what kind of DNS server. A lot of people spreading malware will use free DNS sites. So we've got audio adapter plugin, chickenkiller.com. There we go, chickenkiller.com. That's a free DNS site that a lot of people spreading malware use. Chickenkiller.com. So that's enough information to that's enough information, I think, to basically expose that person on Hack Forums. Go ahead and do it if you want, guys. I'll keep checking the post and see if anybody actually after this video goes up, I'll check to see if anybody replies to that guy's post, see if anyone's exposing him for spreading malware. That'll be interesting. But yeah, we could go on further and try and find more evidence, but I think we've found enough to prove that he's spreading malware. So, you know, it's good proof. You can prove to people that this guy's definitely running, this program is definitely a rat, and here's conclusive proof with the string names. You can see it's running Luminosity. So that's how you find out. So anyway, guys, I hope this video did help, or you found the information useful. It was probably quite a long video. I haven't obviously edited it yet because I'm recording it, but it's probably going to be a pretty long video. But anyway, I hope it helped in some way. And if you did like the video or you found the information useful, go ahead and leave it a like. I really do appreciate that. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Comment if you have any questions, and I'll hopefully see you guys in the next video.